decades-old war between government forces and rebel groups.
Congo is where I was born. At the age of 17, I found myself as a refugee. So because of the experience of me spending half of my life in the Congo, I can't stop speaking up about what is happening because I still have families there. So what's important for me is to let the world know how much they should care about the Congo, because Congolese, in the end, are still human beings on this planet.
Siwache vita, tuende kunyumba. Twende kuona kama tutapata chakula cha watoto mpori.
They say that the wealth of the Congo is $2.3 trillion, right? Depending on who you read. It's almost as the US and Europe GDP combined. You find every mineral there. Congo has so much of that. You know, in Manono, we have one of the biggest reserves of lithium in the world. Cobalt, Congo is the #1 producer of cobalt in the world. I think the most important resource is the people, the Congolese people. We have 110 million people in the Congo. Half of the population is under the age of 18, and the majority of that Congolese women. So when you see that potential, you see the wealth, you see the people, you know that Congo is central for the transformation of the African continent and even the world.
Ili vita ilikuwa ya mingi sana. Nikatoka mshamba, nikataka uliza nyeti muji mbona inalungula. Na nikasikia sauti ya watu, nikawauliza nyeti sasa muji inakuwa namna gani kwe? Abo kwesinzo wenye wanakuwa tuwa waseme ikachini. Bakanionesha bunduki. Bakaniuliza tupeleke kwenye basoda.
It's the longest and deadliest conflict that seems to defy all intervention.
There is greed around Congo for decades. From the foundation of Congo, there was greed around the richness of the Congo. It has never disappeared.
The conflict has claimed millions of lives, with some estimates putting the death toll at 6 million since 1996. Millions of Congolese have also been displaced, fueling a cycle of poverty and humanitarian crisis.
That has to do with really unresolved issues. There have been unresolved issues in many sectors of society and governance. What you get then is different episodes of flare-ups and grievances here which come and disappear and then reappear under the same or different formats.
UN peacekeeping mission in the DRC, MUNOSCO, is due to start leaving the country in December after a 25-year deployment. The one-year mandate of troops from the Regional African Community, EAC, will also end in December. Politicians and ordinary Congolese have in the past 1 year demanded, including through violent protests, the departure of security forces deployed by these two organizations. They want these forces to be replaced by troops from the South African Development Community, SADC. However, in their recent summit on the 4th of November, SADC leaders did not announce any deployment plan. The DRC, which is a member of both the EAC and SADC, is now on the brink of being left alone with a conflict that has devastated its eastern region since the 1990s. Why have foreign military and diplomatic interventions failed to bring peace in DRC?
The primary responsibility, of course, things that are happening in Congo, it's on the Congolese government to solve those issues. Whenever it needs help, identify the right help.
The Democratic Republic of Congo is the second largest country in Africa. It is the fourth largest African country by population, behind only Nigeria, Ethiopia, and Egypt. DRC is considered the world's richest country in terms of natural resources. These resources include world's largest coltan reserves and considerable amounts of cobalt. In fact, DRC has 70% of the world's cobalt reserves. Other resources are diamonds, gold, copper, tin, tantalum, and lithium. However, the DRC is yet to enjoy the full benefits of its resources.
I will quote Wangari Maathai before she passed away, the Nobel Peace Prize, right? Wangari Maathai said before she passed that when we look at conflict in Africa, it's always about the resources. And that's the reality of the Congo, that we have so much wealth, right, that the world needs it. It's being looted and it's being sold a penny to $1 and find its way in our cell phones, laptops, DVD players, and so on.
Minerals mined in the DRC are of critical importance for the global manufacturing sector. DR Congo's wealth goes beyond minerals.
If Congo is free, Africa can have electricity on the entire African continent. That's Congo's capacity to provide electricity with his Congo River. If Congo is free, Congo can feed not only Africa, it can feed the entire world until 2050, when the world's population is 9 billion people. There shouldn't be famine on planet Earth, right? If Congo is free, the lands, right, the arable land that exists, 86 million hectares, is going to transform the African continent itself. And I can go on and on about the potential of the Congo, but the most important potential of the Congo is its people and its youth.
Despite its wealth, clashes involving armed groups have contributed to high rates of civilian casualties and displacement.
Organization of Migration issued a report showing that there were 7 million internally displaced people in the DRC. They issued that tweet, I think the report was around 30th October. It went unnoticed, of course, with all that is going on in the world. 2 million, I think, were in the North Kivu province, which is the focus of the media attention, of course, with the fighting between the government and M23. But all of the rest were in other parts of the country as well, including South Kivu, Ituri, and Western provinces as well, Katanga, former Katanga provinces, and even near Kinshasa in Maindombe, and so on.
According to the United Nations, there are over 100 armed groups operating in the troubled areas. They are fighting for control of the mineral-rich country. Since late 2021, North Kivu has been confronted by M23 rebels who mainly operate in Masisi and Rutshuru.
Peacekeeping mission in that country, otherwise known as MUNOSCO, said they're concerned about clashes between members of the M23 militia, the Congolese armed forces, and a coalition of armed groups that have been occurring daily since the beginning of October in the province of North Kivu. These clashes taking place in Masisi, Rutshuru, and Yarongogo territories represent a serious escalation of the conflict in eastern Congo. There's also a serious threat to humanitarian relief.
M23 stands for March 23 Movement. The group derives its name from a 2009 failed peace deal between the Congolese government and a rebellious faction that broke away from the army and seized control of Goma, North Kivu's provincial capital.
The M23 fighters, right, especially the commanders, were in the first invasion of the Congo. The first invasion of the Congo in 1996, that rebel group was called AFDM. After they took power in 1997 after toppling Mobutu, and then Laurent Désiré Kabila asking Rwanda and Uganda to leave the Congo, a second war started in 1998. The rebel force in 1998 was called RCD. And in the RCD, was the same rebel leaders, Mosco Tanganda, Makenga, and others. RCD fought from 1998 to 2002 when they signed the peace accord. Right? After they signed the peace accord, they integrated them into the Congolese army. And a few years later, they left the Congolese army to start another rebel group called CNDP. And CNDP in 2009 signed the peace agreement. But what happened in 2012 for them to leave the Congolese army again and start another rebellion? So I just want to make sure that we know that the M23 is the same rebel group that came in the Congo in 1996, but they have changed their names over the years which make it seem that there are multiple rebel groups. It's the same exact rebel group with the different name.
M23's threat in eastern DR Congo soared between 2012 and 2013, catching the attention of the United Nations. The DRC has repeatedly accused its neighbor Rwanda of backing the M23, an allegation Kigali denies. In 2012, the UN Security Council authorized the deployment of a peacekeeping mission known as MUNOSCO to the DRC. Several years on, many locals have called for the UN mission to leave the Congo for failing to deal with insecurity. Dozens of demonstrators were killed during protests against the UN mission last September. In mid-2022, an East African force was set up to curb militia violence in the Democratic Republic of Congo. However, after just 11 months in action, the force was ordered to leave the country following complaints by Kinshasa about the troops' ineffectiveness.
The EAC forces are on the ground. When they were pressed about why aren't they engaging, the commanders of the EAC forces in the DRC stated that they are there for peacekeeping. They're not there to enforce peace. And that's very problematic. Why should you then be in the DRC if you are there to observe, right? Because you are witnessing massacre. And that's the same challenge that we had with the UN forces. Even though the UN forces have the strongest mandate today, right? They have Chapter 7, which gives them the power to engage rebels. They're still not able to do that.
The DRC will hold general elections in late December amid threats of unrest from dozens of armed militias. And many wonder what it will take to break the cycle of violence and prevent outside interference.
Identify the right help you need by any actors. And I thought bringing in the East African community was that idea. But you bring it in and then you undermine it. What is the point of bringing it in the first place if you can't really work with that to find a solution? So there is a need for political will to organize society in such a way that there is an inclusive governance in the DRC, but also there is an inclusive roadmap to finding peace by dealing with all substantive issues. And once you have done that, it's possible to then address all of those who you consider to be really genuinely against peace.
The fundamental request for Congolese is justice. We strongly believe that there cannot be peace without justice.